Namaste. As per my conversation with nutritionist Faiza, I learned that lifestyle factors majorly contribute to the wellness and well-being of a woman. And yoga is one of the strongest tools that women can embrace in order to evolve and achieve the best of their beauty and their wellness. So this is the reason why I decided to delve deeper into it. So I have here with me Miss Ruchi Kapoor.
Hi.
Hi Ruchi. She is an Ashtanga yoga practitioner and founder at yogitoday.com, and she is here to tell us how women can practice yoga on a daily basis and evolve to the best of their personalities and achieve the best of their beauty. Without wasting any time, Ruchi, let's explore yoga.
Let's go.
Ruchi, tell me, how did you get attracted to yoga?
My brush with yoga happened after I was looking at, kind of making myself healthier and fit, making better nutritional choices, both for my newborn child and myself as a way, to kind of lose post-pregnancy weight. It seemed like a complete practice in itself, especially for women, because it's a good balance between the cardio, between the strength aspects of it, flexibility. It just doesn't work with the physical part of your body, but it works on a very deeper spiritual level as well. So it heals you from within. With that just 1.5 or 1 hour practice, that whatever you can manage in a day, you can address all your fitness related issues. So I definitely obviously practice yoga and recommend everybody else to do it as well.
As you rightly said that you had a brush with other fitness activities as well, and you felt that yoga was more holistic and it fixed you from within, it fixed you spiritually. Do you want to reflect a bit on that journey as well?
If you look at it, yoga in itself is a practice where you self-reflect most of the time. So most of the focus is on your breath, you're constantly inhaling and exhaling. Because you spend so much time with yourself while practicing yoga, you just have your mat, there's no equipment, there's no music, nothing else to distract you. You're just looking inwards at yourself. It somewhere makes you make better choices that are more you. You really start knowing what is it that you and your body wants, and then making kind of calls based on that. I'll tell you a very simple example about it. One of the major issues I think when it comes to wellness and fitness is as to how to quit sugar. Everybody has lots of tricks and tips on it, that how can you get yourself off sugar. But I realized that the moment I started practicing yoga, it's almost like a cleansing practice from within. So your body doesn't crave the things anymore that are not good for you. Nobody is forcing you to quit sugar, but because your body doesn't need it anymore to get pleasure or happiness or whatever neural response kind of the sugar gets you, you are able to make that choice of whether you want to go ahead and have that bar of chocolate or not. And I find that is more liberating. Once you start practicing yoga, you learn more about yourself, you cleanse your body from within, you give it more love, affection, nutrition, and then these choices automatically start becoming a little bit more easier every day.
As you rightly said, that yoga helps us reflect and spend time with ourselves. That's such a beautiful thing, because even I truly believe that you cannot be truly beautiful by just making cosmetic changes to the skin. It is about effective personal care. Correct. And for you it was yoga that helped you bring closer to your own self. Ruchi, I really want you to share with other women few basic general yoga asanas that they can practice to achieve a greater glow on their skin, achieve more beautiful skin, and combat all the challenges or fitness challenges, wellness challenges that we have on a daily basis.
So again, on a daily basis, I again feel yoga works very well because it is a practice that can very easily be integrated into your lifestyle. It is done early in the morning, before or during sunrise, and at sunset, or just before the sun is kind of going down. Typically, even in our days, those are the two times when either you are winding up yourself for the day to come ahead, or you are winding down. Technically and very honestly, even as a practitioner, as you start doing yoga every day, you will see that it's just not one body part that does yoga. You literally have to be there in the present moment, breathing in and out. I feel sometimes that literally every cell in your body has to be doing yoga as such, you know.
All the yoga videos and everything that we come across on the internet, they talk about all these asanas, bend your leg, bend your hand and achieve this
because
asana.
yoga is not, because
But that asana itself is a journey.
Exactly, yeah. So I say that very often in my class, that being able to achieve an asana really is not the goal. It really is the journey, you know. It is not a target that you have to achieve. There really is no finish line in yoga. See, your body is a tool and you can use it in any way that you like, you know. There are very flexible people who can do, you know, some really fantastic things with their body, and then there are very strong people as well. Then what is the difference between a gymnast or a dancer or, you know, any person like that and a yogi? It's that journey that you take to get your body to be able to do it comfortably, and then once you're able to get there, to be able to breathe there. So it literally is, you know, preparing yourself for meditation, you know. So all the effort that you take in making your body more stronger and flexible, you know, and everything like that is constantly taking you ahead, you know, to a journey where you know yourself much better, where you're able to find silence and peace both within the body and within the mind as well. So it always moves from gross to subtle. So it always moves from body to the mind. So you learn to train your body so that eventually you can train your mind. You're not training the body to gain, you know, any kind of strength or flexibility. Those are the byproducts. That's the beauty about yoga, you know, the weight loss, the glow in the skin. And people will actually come and start asking you if you're a practitioner. Yeah, because people can notice that evolution in you, you know, and it's almost like a fire has been lit inside you and they can notice it.
Overall reflects in your aura and
exactly.
your energy.
And you attract people who are seeking it, you know. That's the reason why a lot of people, you know, then become yoga teachers once they are seasoned practitioners, because people start coming to them, you know, you are doing something different, you are looking a little different, you know, what are you doing? And then you realize, I was just practicing yoga, you know. So, and then it changes every day, you know, and beautiful things start happening to you, because, you know, you're getting more aligned with yourself, you're getting more comfortable with yourself. I had a very bad habit of checking my weight every day in the morning and I used to just run to the weighing scale and, you know, kind of check myself.
Happens to all of us.
Yeah, and after I started practicing and the more I started getting comfortable in my own skin and I started making choices that I wanted to make, not because, you know, somebody else was telling me to do it, but because those were the choices that I wanted to do, that thing just fell somewhere in the journey, it just fell away. So, you know, I don't need kind of compelled to go and measure my weight every day, because that's not the goal anymore, you know, it becomes a byproduct.
What are some of these asanas that you would like to recommend women, and how can they, you know, practice it? Why should they be practicing it to combat some of the beauty challenges that we face on a daily basis?
I think a good stepping stone to kind of begin, if you're absolutely starting with the yoga journey, it may not be like the most profound answer, but honestly speaking, wherever you begin, that really is the first step. So it's a good idea to start. If you're not very comfortable with, I would highly recommend just kind of, you know, go ahead on YouTube. There are thousands of yoga practitioners over there, you know, with like lots of videos on it and things like that. You can try out what style works for you, because there are multiple styles of yoga prevalent these days as well, you know, from Iyengar to Ashtanga to Hatha Yoga. The Ashtanga Yoga Mysore style, which is the style that I practice, is one of the most traditional style. So like the Ashtanga Yoga Mysore style, I learned from the K. Patabi Joy's Ashtanga Yoga Institute. I learned from Saraswati Maji, who was Patabi Joyce's daughter, and he learned it from Krishnamacharya, who's like the father of modern yoga, you know, and he's the one who was one of the first ones to kind of, you know, spread yoga to the world. Again, it depends on what your style is, what is more accessible, but try out different styles, see what kind of makes sense to you. Once you know what is the style you like, you know, and if this is the teacher that, you know, you would like to continue the journey, or I would definitely recommend going to a teacher and practicing with them. Coming to the actual yoga asanas that you can do, I personally feel one of the best ones to definitely try and do is Shirshasana, because you are literally upside down. So yes, it definitely changes your perspective, how you see the things. Apart from that, it kind of, there is a lot of blood that rushes towards your face and of course, you know, your head. So, you know, it's better for your hair growth. It's like a free facial every day that you can give yourself. That is one. Another one that is definitely worth learning, which again is something that these days a lot of urban Indians find it difficult to do, because we sit a lot more on the chairs than sitting on the floor as we used to earlier. So one yogasana that we should definitely try and do it is Padmasana. because it is a seated asana, it is a meditative asana, it helps you, kind of keep yourself more and more grounded. And the way the legs move in Padmasana, where your hip flexors are moving out, your knees come in, it is one of the asanas in which even if you sit for a very long time, your feet will not go numb, like how typically when the blood circulation stops and you feel that little ants crawling on the feet feeling, that doesn't happen when you sit in Padmasana, because the blood still keeps flowing, all through your legs. So that is definitely one asana that is, worth giving your time and effort in learning. Again, some people are able to do it who are born more flexible in the lower part of their bodies, and some people require more effort, and and that is their learning maybe, to be able to learn to sit in Padmasana. Third asana, which is again very good for the skin and face, and again slightly difficult to do, so again it requires guidance and help and energy of your teachers, but Urdhva Dhanurasana, or the wheel pose, where you go back. So again, it opens up the front of the body, opens up your heart, and there are also bhavas which are attached with these yogasanas. So typically it's the Aishwarya Bhav attached with the back bend,
Okay.
So the whole concept of self-esteem, and like, having more and more optimism within yourself is the one that comes from a back bend.
Ruchi, I attended one of your classes and you kept addressing and saying Samasthitihi. Would you like to tell me what was that all about?
Yeah, sure. Samasthitihi is like two Hindi words put together, Sama and Sthitihi. Sama means balanced and Sthiti means the state that you're in. In yoga, we start every asana in the Ashtanga yoga practice at least from that balanced state where you're equally nice and strong standing on your feet. And then each and every Surya Namaskar that we do, whether it's the Surya Namaskar A or B, is when you end in that state as well, where again you're on your 2 feet balanced. So it's almost like the whole cycle that goes through, So you begin from that balanced state of mind and you return back to it. I like to tell my students to keep their ears on the sound of their breath. So you really try and listen to your inhales and your exhales. Again, that keeps you in the present moment. I also like to use a little bit of aromas in my practice as well towards the end of the practice when, during relaxation, gentle aromas like the rose, and things like that just kind of helps in bringing, the whole practice together, so that after you've taken your body through that cleansing process, for 1 hour, 45 minutes of like a really hardcore yoga practice, you kind of, try and bring your senses inwards, so you keep your gaze inwards, you try and keep your ears on the sound of your breath, you try and limit the smells to like, more purer, beautiful smells that you can keep together.
I didn't know yoga had so many forms and styles and bhavas attached to it, and it was such a deep art. But definitely after this conversation, I'm going to be learning a lot about it. Ruchi.
Sounds good. Yeah,
and thank you so much for reflecting on all these asanas and the art of yoga.
Thank you for having me over. Yes.
Since you have now told me so much about it, I would definitely want to try my hands at it. So I've got my team here with me so that we can have a small session with you.
Great. Sounds good. Yes.